Artifacts are born from the strange marriage between ordinary matter and the inexplicable forces that twist reality within the zone. When an anomaly interacts with certain objects, or when it weakens, collapses, or dies, something unnatural can take shape in its wake. Take the crystal, for example. It is said to emerge when metallic debris becomes trapped within the fiery heart of a burner anomaly. The heat and radiation meld the metal until it shines like glass, pulsing faintly with residue energy. Scientists who study these miracles, or curses, agree on one thing: emissions of the spark that make them possible. Each surge of radiation and energy reshapes the landscape, birthing new anomalies and artifacts that follow. Yet for all their study and instruments, no one truly understands the process. The zone keeps its secrets close. The slime is one of the more common artifacts found near acid anomalies, yet its creation remains a quiet marvel of the zone's alchemy. Born in the caustic mists, where the air burns the lungs and metal corrodes at the touch, it begins as a formless, viscous mass, an oily residue shimmering with toxic hues. When exposed to extreme shifts in temperature, the substance undergoes a strange transformation. It melts, then hardens, again and again, until it twists upon itself, solidifying in a distinctive spiral. To the untrained eye, the slime looks harmless, almost beautiful. But stalkers who had walked through the acid fields know better. Each one carries a trace of the anomaly that birthed it, a reminder that even beauty in the zone comes with the cost. The slug is a rare artifact, born from the deadly shimmer of the fruit punch anomaly. Within that rolling pool of acid and radiation, where the air itself seems to boil, fragments of metal and organic debris are slowly dissolved, reshaped and fused together. Over time, the zone's unnatural chemistry gives birth to a dense, fleshy lump of mineral, slick to the touch, faintly warm, and disturbingly organic in appearance. Despite its unsettling form, the slug possesses remarkable properties. It accelerates the body's natural clotting process, allowing wounds to close almost instantly. For stalkers, this can mean the difference between bleeding out in the grass and living to see another sunrise. Yet this gift comes with a price. Prolonged exposure can thicken the blood too much, straining the heart and leaving the user weak or dizzy. Still, the slug's value is undeniable. Few ever manage to retrieve one intact, and those who do find buyers eager to pay handsomely. In the shifting heart of the zone, where the wild energies of the fruit punch anomaly converge in the rarest form, the mica is born. It emerges when anomalies' acidic vapors, its heating radiation, and chaotic pressure combine just right. A moment where matter collapses and reforms into a hard, semi-transparent gem. What you hold in your hand is a piece of anomaly made real, pale and glass-like. When carried, the mica transforms the body's relationship with blood. Cuts stop, veins seal, bleeding slows dramatically. Yet every gift demands its toll. The artifact's strange energy makes the body more vulnerable to fire and chemical burns. Rare stashes hide it in forgotten warehouses, deep in wild territory, or locked in old safe houses in Yentar. Even then, only chance or courage grants it to you, and once you hold it, you've secured something far beyond ordinary treasure. Droplets are born in the restless heat of the burner anomaly, where metal melts and vapors hiss into the air. In that furnace of acid and flames, something strange takes shape. Little tear-shaped shards that glint like glass, a crack and fracture under their own tension. If you hold this one in your hand, you feel it pull at your skin. Cold at first, then faintly warm. And you know this is a piece of the zone's rage made solid. It grants a small blessing, a reduction in how much radiation gnaws at your body. But it comes at a price, as everything does. Endurance falters, Weakness follows. The body feels lighter, easier to harm, as if the price of survival here is always hidden. These shards are common enough compared to the rarer finds, yet finding them still means daring the burner fields and keeping your wits about you. Deep in the heart of the zone, where heat and flame twist reality, the fireball is born. It forms in the roaring fields of the burner anomaly, a place where nothing stays solid for long, and the air itself seems to burn. The artifact looks innocuous at first, a small orb that feels almost cold to the touch, despite the blazing tempest it came from. Some stalkers swear they felt the membrane pulse, or shimmering with the hidden flame. Its power is subtle but dangerous. Fireball grants resistance to thermal attack, useful when walking through zones with scorching heat, flame bursts, or molten droplets. But its unstable nature burns the body, leaving the carrier with drained stamina and a whisper of radiation buzzing in their bones. The crystal is born in the infernal breath of the burner anomaly, where metal weeps, the air shimmers with heat, and the ground glows like dying embers. Within that searing crucible, ornating debris, bolts, fragments of iron, scorched earth, melts and twists until it hardens to something otherworldly. A flawless, glassy shard that traps the very essence of flame within its heart. Its core burns with a dull, living light, like molten metal frozen mid-flow. Strangely, the artifact seems to absorb radiation, rather than emit it, creating a protective barrier around whoever carries it. For many stalkers, it's a blessing worth the risk, an invisible shield against the invisible death that seeps from the ruins and wastes. Yet, as with all things in the zone, there's a balance in the cruelty. Prolonged contact with the crystal saps the body of strength. Muscles grow weak, movements slow, and the air feels heavier, as though the artifact demands a toll for every breath spared. The sparkler emerges from the crackling heart of an electro anomaly, where raw, unseen currents dance between metal and air, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. In the shimmering hush of the electric field, conductor fragments and charged dust merge under the unseen influence of the zone's power. The sparkler takes shape as a delicate, translucent shard, its surface etched with tiny filaments that glow like frozen lightning at a distance. The sparklet boosts stamina and steadies the body in subtle ways. Your limbs feel a little lighter, your breath steadier, the world's thrum, the hum of machines, the buzz of unstable panels, all soften around you. But there is a counterweight, because the artifact carries a mark of the electro forces it was born from. The bearer becomes slightly more vulnerable to electrical surges, and the odd trickle of radiation that lingers in the core. The flash materializes within the crackling heart of an electro anomaly, where the air hums with voltage, cables fray, and reality flickers for a heartbeat. It begins as a shard of crystalline metal, scattered amid the faults in the earth. When the anomaly sings its wild, electric lullaby, these fragments fuse, bending the lightning into a solid form that pulses faintly. A small pale sphere with veins of blue light running beneath its surface. Each flicker of its core echoes the charged storm that gave it life. When holding one of these things, those who carry the flash feel its effects in the bones. Hard demands become easier. Endurance stretches farther than the body should allow. The weight of gear and the string of fatigue seem to soften by its presence. But it is a double-edged spark. The artifact's mastery over electricity demands something in return. Every step into the jeering fields of the zone, every frayed wire, every toppling pylon becomes a risk amplified. The bearer must stay alert, lest the energy turn inward. Finding a flash is no simple feat. It lies in electro anomaly clusters, where yellow arcs of discharge dance across broken pylons or underground substations. Time in the zone fractures here. Some say the flash only becomes visible during the darkest hours between midnight and dawn. The moonlight is born in a humming heart of an electro anomaly, where crackling current races between broken pylons, tangled cables, and the cracked earth of the zone. In those wild flashes of energy, tiny fragments of metal, dust, and strange charged matter fuse into something new. The moonlight appears as a smooth, nearly spherical shard that glows faintly with a blue, pale silver light. The air around it hums, and even when it lies still, you swear you hear a ping of electrical discharge in the silent moments. When carried, the body seems lighter, the legs less weary, and you breathe easier. Stalkers say the moonlight allows you to keep moving when you'd normally falter. But the zone never gives up a gift without a demand. The moonlight draws its power from its surroundings, and from you. Along with its endurance-boosting warmth comes a vulnerability. Stray arcs of electricity, puddles of standing charge, or a careless contact with raw wiring can feel sharper. The artifact's resonance with the electrical forces that birthed it means you walk a finer line. The stone blood is one of the oldest and most recognizable artifacts in the zone. Born in the slow, crushing depths of gravitational anomalies. Within those invisible wells, where the air hums and the earth folds in on itself, organic matter and iron-rich soil are compressed and fused together under impossible pressure. When the anomaly finally stabilizes, it leaves behind a dark, heavy lump that glistens faintly with red veins, like dry blood running through stone. It's warm to the touch, almost alive. It carries a vibration that seems to pulse in rhythm with your own. It seems to strengthen your resilience. Wounds knit faster, pain dulls, and the body endures just a little more than before. Of course, the stone blood demands its price. Its constant exposure to the forces that shaped it leaves behind a faint trace of radiation, a slow poison that seeps into the carrier over time. Omelchuk is born in the acidic miasma of chemical anomalies, where the air reeks of corrosion, the ground fizzles with toxic runoff, and the hidden vapors twist flesh and matter into something other. Amid these boiling wastes, organic tissue and metal debris are bathed in corrosive energy and reshaped into a dense, strange artifact that pulses with a sickly glow. The meat chunk texture is ugly, grotesque, flecked with slick, fat-like ooze that drips if disturbed, but the bargain it offers is tempting. It aids the body's fight against chemical poisons, giving you a chance when the yellow clouds linger and the sludge seeps. However, the same energy that helps you survive these toxins also carries its own taint. Radiation seeps, strength falters. Otherwise, innocuous terrain feels sharper. The soul emerges from the electrical chaos of the zone's anomalies, shards of charged air and metal coalescing into something strangely potent. In the hush after a storm of crackling wires and aerial arcing, stalkers sometimes find it. A smooth, glowing orb that seems almost too delicate for the devastation around it. Despite its fragile appearance, the soul resists destruction, from heat, shock, or acid, as if its very existence is wired into the anomaly itself. When carried, the body feels refreshed. Wounds close a little quicker. Fatigue fades sooner. However, that same force that replenishes you also hums in your veins. Touch a live wire, step into a creeping field of charged mist, and the artifact's resonance can cut deeper than any blade. Legends among stalkers say each soul is unique, born exactly at the moment an unfortunate wanderer met their end in the blue fields, caught in the whir of energy and loss. The jellyfish drifts into existence in the trembling fields of gravitational anomalies. In the dim light of one such springboard anomaly, stalkers report seeing it. A pale, wavering orb that floats just above the churned ground. Beneath its translucent surface, faint veins of simmering dust trace slow arcs as if the artifact itself is alive, with the slow pulse of warped gravity. When you pick it up, there's a quiet moment. Your weight feels heavier, the air seems thicker, and you know you're carrying something born of the zone's deeper wrath. The jellyfish has the unusual ability to attract or repel radiation particles, depending on the surrounding field, usable as a shield or a curse. The gravitational anomalies that spawn it in are among the trickiest to navigate. Ground shifts, echoes of pressure, treacherous footing. One slip, one miscalculation, and you don't walk away with an artifact. You become part of the field. The stone flower is born in the twisted heart of gravitational anomalies, where the earth buckles, space warps, and stones are pressed into impossible shapes. Amid the swirl of swirling springs and rifts, fragments of stone fuse under extreme pressure and fracture into shards that shimmer like frozen petals. The edges are cool and sharp, yet there's a softness to the surface, as though some gentle bloom survived the crush. Stalkers who carry it often speak of a strange calm settling in their minds, but gifts from the zone arrive with the shadow usually, and the stone flower is no exception. It radiates a faint trace of the same chaos that made it, and while it may shield your mind just enough, it also marks you. Some stalkers say wearing it makes their dreams restless, their sleep shallow. Others say every time it glows under dim light, they're reminded you're not safe. The night star is forged in the hidden currents of gravitational anomalies. Those silent bottoms of the earth where space bends and the world seems to sigh under impossible weight. Somewhere among the drifts of soil and the collapse of matter, this artifact crystallizes. A slender star-like fragment with brittle needles radiating outward, as though frozen in the instance of some cosmic fracture. Its needles glint faintly in torchlight, yet you sense its pull, the weight of gravity made tangible. Its effects are subtle but vital. You move easier despite your burden, your pack feels lighter, your steps less drawn. While you benefit, you also pay. The artifact carries radiation, a slow burn in your bones. In the places it's found, springboards, vortexes, wrinkle gigs are traps of their own, waiting to punish one misstep. Few stalkers ever return with the Night Star. Its rarity has turned it into a legend. You might find one at the edge of a research institute fence, in the corner of the zone where the Earth still rebels. The Mama's Beads is born in the fiery depths of a thermal anomaly. They are glass-like beads, once mundane in origin, fused with the scorching vapor and emerge as a strand of translucent pearls. Not shaped by human hand, but by the wild heart of the zone. Their surface shimmers faintly, as if each bead holds a drop of summer's blaze. Stalkers who claim one feel it settle against their chest, like a worn rosary of survival. The beads grant a particular benefit. When blood flows freely, they slow the rush. Within the body, wounds cling longer to scabs, bleeding eases. In a world where every cut becomes fate, that matter of seconds matters. But the beads come soaked in contradiction. Their birth in sizzling anomaly fields means they pulse with latent radiation, a silent charge that invisibly saps energy. Carrying them is like wearing comfort with a hidden string. The benefit visible, the burden subtle. The wretched is born deep within the restless maw of a gravitational anomaly, where gravity itself seems to bleed into the air. There, amidst the shifting rifts and sliding debris, fragments of metal and rock fuse under extreme pull until they are solidified into something peculiar. A matte, irregular shard that hums with the lingering afterpulse of the anomaly's force. Its surface is cool, almost aloof. The weight modest, the presence unmistakable. When worn close, the shard grants a subtle boon, a buffer against the shocks of impact. However, the wretch emits radiation, quiet poison that seeps in over time. In the places where they are born, the vortexes of gravity are treacherous. One misjudged leap, and the anomaly claims you instead of an artifact. The gravity emerges from the heart of another gravitational anomaly. In those twisted areas, heavy fragments of metal and rock fuse under intense gravitational pressure, forming a dense, irregular shard. It looks unremarkable at first, dull gray, no glow, but in your hand it carries the weight of something ancient and restless. Holding one makes you feel a change in your bones. Your pack feels lighter, your steps less burdened, and you move more freely, as though the field that created it still lingers around you. As most other artifacts, it radiates a constant pulse of radiation. The goldfish is an anomaly-born marvel from the deepest distortions of gravity in the zone. Within the turning fuse of a vortex, or a gravity whirlgig, matter folds in on itself, thus suspended in unbearable pulls until they fuse into this curious artifact. It, however, feels disappointingly ordinary, a dull rounded piece of metal or stone, half glossed, the weight negligible, yet its effect whispers power. As many other artifacts, it lightens your gear, makes your pack feel less crushing, and steps less worn. The goldfish, however, demands payment in the form of radiation, a hidden cost for the freedom it lends. The Kolobok is forged in the zones of chemical chaos deep inside the zone, where acidic mist twists and organs of rocks and metal fuse in unholy proximity. Within such fields you might spot it, a rounded pale orb, cool to the touch, with a lingering pulse of chemical energy. It steadies your body in ways it hadn't before. Minor wounds heal more swiftly, and your breath, in the burning haze of contamination, feels that little bit easier to draw. Scientists whisper that the artifact interacts with the bearer's genetic code, altering how the body copes with chemical damage. Because it is born in chemical fires and leaks radiation, carrying it means you carry a faint, persistent whisper of contamination. The Dorn is born where acid boils and the air burns, within the ghostly shrouds of an acid anomaly, where metal dissolves and chaos whispers in every drop of vapor. It appears as a slim, jagged shard, dark, dense, its surface etched with thin needles. If you wish to carry one, you have to trade pain for protection. Its needles may poke, but they also shield. The fragment purges radiation from the bearer's body. Of course, protection comes at a cost. The same needles that cleanse also slice, raising the bearer's bleeding risk even as radiation fades. Your body becomes a little more vulnerable, your skin a little more fragile, amid the gains. The crystal thorn emerges where the zone's acid anomalies roar and seed, deep in the corrosive guts of the fields where metal dissolves and matter reshapes itself under brutal chemistry. In those bubbling memorials of danger, shards twist and grow into this artifact, a dark spike-laden fragment, its surface jagged and crystalline, like glass tortured into thorns. According to the legends inscribed in old Stalker logs, its spikes vary from near microscopic filaments to bold, needle-like protrusions. It shields you just enough from radiation, as though the acid field that birthed it now reversed their claim for a moment. Yet protections here are never free. As the artifact before, carrying this thorn means more bleeding. The body becomes sharper, its veins more exposed, and wounds more likely. The urchin forms in the silent, bitter fields of the acid anomaly, where corrosive vapors swirl and hidden currents of radiation weave through the air. In that place of chemical fury, shards twist into something spiny and strange. Needles grow outward from the central core, like a sea urchin's shell, mutated by the zone's power. Get close enough you can almost see the needles shimmer, an expression of the artifact's thirst for radiation, even as it fights back. When you hold it in your hand, there's a cold calm to it. It shrugs off the radiation that should be burning you alive, but the relief is treacherous, because this artifact demands a toll. Blood draws faster, veins whisper. The body pays for every second you're alive when it shouldn't be. The shell is forged in the crackling heart of an electro-anomaly field, where arcs of energy leap between shattered pylons, and the air hums with an invisible charge. Under that wild current, fragments of metal and ghostly dust fuse into a smooth, disc-like shard. It glows faintly in dim light. It looks simple, almost unremarkable. The kind of item you might toss aside in any other world. But in the zone, simple can be powerful. When carried, the shell grants a subtle but meaningful benefit. Endurance steadies, burdens feel lighter, and the body resists fatigue just one step longer. And the only downside to this artifact is that it carries the whisper of radiation, an unseen toll that wears at flesh over time. The pellicle is born in the silent corrosive fields of the chemical anomaly. From that chaos rises something unexpected. A thin, almost membrane-like shard that glows faintly under dim light. Its surface shimmers like a soap bubble caught in the zone's poison winds. This artifact allows your body to resist chemical burns. The toxins, the nasty things that melt your flesh and steel around you. It also allows you to walk easier, breathe deeper, and survive longer. But as always, there is a cost. It hums with radiation. Its whispers pull at you, the longer it stays in your pack. In the places you'll find it, the hidden vents, collapsed labs, acid mist trenches, are among the deadliest. The spring emerges in the shifting depths of gravitational anomalies. In these fields, metal scraps and rock shards fold in on themselves until they forge into a piece that's deceptively smooth and simple. A flat, almost saucer-like shard that vibrates with latent pressure. This artifact makes your pack seem lighter. Your knees don't buckle as the earth yawns beneath you. It protects you from the impact of the zone's cruelty. The slips, the falls, the tumbles that come when gravity warps and the world gives way. However, the spring bears no obvious downside. At least, anything we know at the moment. The battery is born in the crackling heart of an electro-anomaly. In that maelstrom of electric chaos, ordinary fragments of metal and dielectric dust fuse into something new. A small cylinder, smooth and humming with residual charge. When you pick it up, the surface feels cool and inert. Yet inside you sense the echo of currents that once flowed freely through the ruin. The benefits of the battery are that your limbs feel sturdier, the hiss of electricity in the air less threatening. It grants the body a faint reserve of endurance, allowing you to move further and endure longer, as though the artifact's power banks your stamina in hazardous fields. The downside is any uncontrolled arcs, shattered wiring, they become lethal. Every near misstep over a live wire reminds you the electricity is a blade with two edges. The eye is born in the seething heat of a thermal anomaly, where the world roils and metal softens under the zone's flame. In that blistering cradle, fragments of strange matter fuse into something both chilling and uncanny. A small orb, shaped like a human eye, its pupil alive with a glow that seems to watch. The positives of the artifact are that any wounds that should fester begin to knit, bleed slow, and the body betrays you less sharply in the moments that matter. Experienced stalkers whisper that the eye brings luck, yet the object's legacy is double-edged. Though it heals, the eye still carries radiation in its veins. The flame is born deep inside the blistering heart of a thermal anomaly. In that furnace breath of the zone, ordinary materials twist under the blaze. When the conditions converge just so, something alive with fire takes form. A flame. It pulses with a quiet red glow, as though it has stolen a spark of the inferno that birthed it. Holding it in your palm feels like holding both hope and warning. Wounds that should spread begin to close. The air seems to sting less. The body whispers of revival. Yet every moment you carry this thing, you feel the price of breathing fire's memory. Radiation clings to it, and the deeper you venture with it, the sharper the danger becomes. The snowflake is born in the crackling heart of electro anomalies. In those violent fields of electric chaos, metal scrap and dust converge until they crystallize into a snowflake. A chilly shard, pale and glinting. A structure said to mirror thousands of ice crystals fused into one. It lifts your endurance, your muscles steady. Fatigue recedes just long enough to make a difference. But the cost is there, because the snowflake is wrought in electricity's forge. It carries the echo of that forge. Radiation clings to it, as most other artifacts do. The scarlet flower emerges as a curious footnote in the lore of Zone. A prize born not from the anomaly alchemy, but from a mission's whim and a stalker's wish. Deep in the marshes of Yontar, where gas anomalies hiss and the air tastes of decay, stalkers find a corpse with something unexpected. Not just loot, but the scarlet flower. It glows faintly red, its shape familiar yet strange, like the more common artifact known as the Flash, but tinged with a deeper hue and a different fate. When you pick it up, the world doesn't roar. The body doesn't heal twice as fast. Nothing dramatic shifts the way it often does with the Zone's treasures. Instead, the scarlet flower holds a whisper of legend. It's said to woo women in the lore of stalkers. Because of that odd promise, many stalkers seek it, looking for something that might, in the warped truth of the Zone, turn fortune their way. The compass is a legendary prize of the Zone, formed deep within gravitational anomalies, where space folds and reality edges towards collapse. When you finally set it in your palm, you feel more than just weight. You feel purpose. Compass is a small, unassuming, metallic shard glossed by a strange alchemy of anomaly and matter. Yet its glow is different. You sense space itself shifting around, as though it grants you a path through the unknown. Carrying the compass gives you a benefit, like most other artifacts. It steadies the body, lightens the burden, and fortifies you against collapse. In short, it helps you stand when everything in the Zone tries to push you down. But of course, nothing in the Zone comes without a price. The compass is born in a space anomaly field, meaning the ground beneath you is unstable. Gravity may betray you, and the artifact itself hums with radiation and echoes of the void. The firefly emerges quietly from the heart of a tainted swamp, where chemical anomalies hiss beneath the surface. In those poisoned waters where ordinary metal and organics would dissolve, this artifact takes form. A tiny, glowing shard that flickers like a dying flame. It hums in your palm, an uncanny warmth against the cold sweat of the Zone. Holding it is like holding life when all around wants death. It accelerates healing. It can bring someone on the verge of death back to their feet. But the artifact carries its own liability. It emanates radiation. Few stalkers ever see this artifact. The firefly is rare, found in a deep chemical myrrh, often in the swamp near the army warehouses, or beneath the mining tunnel of the Red Forest. The bubble drifts into existence in the hissing, toxic heart of a gas anomaly field. Within that poisonous haze, ordinary debris, organic shapes, hollow formations, fuse and expand until something unexpected floats free. A transparent, membrane-thin sphere. The bubble leaks a gentle substance that neutralizes invisible poisons of the Zone, cleansing radiation that should burn you. The altered insulator is a peculiar relic of the Zone. An everyday object twisted by anomaly into something far darker. It wasn't born in the open fields of chaos like many artifacts. Rather, it began as an ordinary electric insulator. Thick porcelain, once used to keep wires aloft. Then the anomaly found it. When picked up, the insulator's original form slips away. It carries a faint but insistent hum of psi emission. a shiver and static. Survivors say it seems to resonate in the darkness of your brain. It doesn't grant strength or healing the way other artifacts do. It disturbs, as though touched by the zone's invisible arm. And of course, the cost is plain. The altered insulator is dangerously radioactive, one of the highest radiation values among the artifacts in all the zone. The altered wheel is one of the stranger relics of the zone. A once ordinary dredge station wheel, transformed by the unseen forces of the anomalies. Or in the quiet inside of a tug at the bars near the dredge station. Its origin is humble yet unsettling. The wheel sat unused for years before the anomaly found it, infused it with weird glow and latent power. One night the metal cracked, the ship groaned, and the wheel became something else. The benefit? It's minimal. Most noted for its glow and curiosity it spawns among stalkers and scientists alike. Some say carrying it reminds the body of persistent danger. It tightens the senses, keeps the mind just a little bit sharper. Yet its protective power is faint, almost symbolic. However, the cost is clear. The altered wheel carries radiation, and its field is tied to the worst parts of the Dredge Station venture. The Heart of Oasis is a mythical anomaly, deep in the heart of the zone. A crystallized plant form, found within the legendary Oasis anomaly, a place of healing and strange ripples in reality. Born with water stills and the air loses its bite. This artifact glows with a strange promise. Healing, recovery, and the illusion of sanctuary. In that hidden chamber beneath the ventilation complex of the Jupiter sector, stalkers speak of a gentle pulse. The way wounds knit and the body rights itself. At least, until the zone remembers you carry its heart. Yet as with all artifacts of the zone, the heart carries a price. While it restores health, stamina, and even hunger, it also bears a heavy radiation signature. In the end, every artifact, no matter how small or strange, is a reminder of what the zone truly is. A place where beauty and horror share the same heartbeat. Each fragment carries its own bargain, its own price, its own quiet story etched in radiation and ruin. And for those who dare walk its fields, to reach into anomalies and return with something in hand, the truth is always the same. The zone gives nothing freely, and everything it offers changes you forever.